the setup, guys, is a little different than we're used to because the person that I'm interviewing today so happens to live in my home. Yay! So he likes to occupy most of the elbow room, so I'm going to sit upward like this just to make sure that I feel comfortable. But in continuing the discussion about Black fathers and how important they are, because Black fathers do matter, I have decided to ask my husband to participate in the party today. So, welcome, Timothy O'Neill Barnett.
Hey, what's up? I'm so glad that you asked me to be on here today. I'm kind of nervous because I know you're going to stretch me, but I'm willing to participate.
Do you see how, like, this straightforward, this political answer he just gave? He probably is really nervous. So we're not going to even do this for a long time. I just kind of want to give some perspective, and I think that you offer a lot of perspective because you've been a father for 18 years.
Yes, I have.
You have 2 children. You are a non-custodial parent to one, and I don't know what.
Primary.
Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, we consider it primary because we share a kid
right.
Together. So we'll kind of talk about fatherhood from the perspective of a non-custodial parent, but we'll also deal with just kind of your lineage. So I know this, but tell the people, do you have a father? Was there a father in your life? How about that?
Yes. I grew up with my father in the home. So, I mean, I got to see, a 2-parent home and gain from living in a 2-parent home, or how important it is to provide and be there for your kids and be active in your kids' life, as it pertains to their growing and developing. So yes, I grew up in a 2-parent home. My father was very present.
Wow, he's giving you pertains in big words like that today. Ladies and gentlemen, Timothy O'Neill.
O'Neill, I'm going by
Okay, so talk about your relationship with your father, and this is I say this is a safe space, but I understand that everybody is not as comfortable with discussing kind of their paternal influences. But I would like for you to kind of discuss what your relationship was as a teen growing up with your father, and what do you think if it's changed now from then to now?
As growing up with my dad, my relationship wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. I mean, he was present as far as me seeing him pay bills and be there every day, but he wasn't present as far as being active, as far as an active role model, teaching me things, how to be a man and things of that nature, other than, I saw him pay bills, wake up and go to work. He did do that. I was speaking to one of my friends, man. He was telling me about how hard it's been to deal with not having a father present. And he said something, he was like, well, you was lucky, you probably couldn't understand, your father was in your life. And I said, yeah, and I would never try to even understand somebody who didn't see their father on a day-to-day basis. I would never say that my situation was worse or better. I could never understand that because that wasn't my reality.
Yeah.
But however, my reality was having a father in the house who wasn't present. So who was present but wasn't present, who didn't teach me anything. He was just there like, yeah, I'm the man and I'm paying bills. Your mama need to do everything else. You understand what I'm saying?
Kind of doing what people of that generation knew to do, which was
right.
to be present from a financial perspective, but not so much as an intimate thing.
Right. So, I say even with me having a father present in that aspect, I was able to take on his negative being toxic, the things that I saw that wasn't good, that helped me, that actually hurt me growing up and trying to be a father as well, because I thought that was the way a father should be, just being present and really have to speak to your kids or speak life into your kids, So I always tell somebody, my father was here, but I saw my father, but he wasn't present. So, so what happened was I did, with him being there every day and me seeing him, I ended up picking up his bad habits that I'm just now learning to, get out of now.
So do you think that now that you've kind of you're almost 20 years into parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that your relationship with him has transitioned into a different space, or do you think it's kind of similar to what you were kind of growing up with previously?
Well, yeah, I think as an adult, our relationship got better because I had to mature as well. I had to see him for who he was, and not even in a bad thing. I had to understand he was only doing what he knew how to do.
Yeah.
His father probably did. My grandfather probably did the same thing to him. So he was doing what he knew how to do. He was doing the best he could provide, and that was it. Because I'm sure that how his father did.
Mm.
So I had to stop holding him accountable for the things that I was mad at. I like, man, my daddy wasn't doing this. My daddy was there, and people thought I had a good life. I used to sit there and say it like, people think I'm a dad here. Well, we all good.
Yeah.
So I had to release that part of anger from me to realize that he was only doing what he knew how to do.
I mean, that's a good perspective, because if you're growing up in an environment where, like, out of your boys, there's 5 of y'all, and 4 of them don't have a physical father present, and you're the only one who has a father physically present, to them, you might look like an outlier and like to have the better setup.
And you know what? That's really how it was. All my friends, they didn't have a father in the home. Mm. And then my close friend that did have a father in his home, he was a drug addict. So he wasn't really, back then in the early 80s, that when crack hit hard. So there was a lot of drug abuse. Like most of my friends that even didn't have a father present, they would see their father on the street corners doing drugs. So they thought that they didn't see my father doing all that. So they thought I just had the perfect life when, I really didn't. You know what I mean? As far as like having a 2-parent home.
What about paternal figures? Do you think you had a good example of a paternal figure in your life?
I believe for the most part, my mother was a good example as far as showing you how to love, being strict, and helped me. I can't honestly say that how I am today, my father played a role in it. It was more of my mother and also my older brothers. My older brothers, like, Chuck and Stanley, they were pretty much who provided for us.
Yeah.
So, and it's sad because they wasn't able to live out their dreams and do what they want to do because they stayed home and provided for us.
Kind of raising
They raised us, right.
And they acted as kind of paternal.
They stepped in and became the father, the present father.
So we talked about the fact that you've been a father for 18 years now. Talk about being a non-custodial parent. Talk about like having a child, having a son, and not having that son to kind of live in your household, and how that affected you.
Oh man, first I want to start this off by I'm done with child support. Party coming soon. We're gonna turn up for that. No more child support. It's been 18 years. Like, okay, they say 18 years. Anyway, but what was the question?
you got so off track.
Hey, I almost want to do a holy dance. Like, what's funny about this situation? Every time I hear that I'm off child support, I don't know why I hear like a Mexican band playing in my head. I just said, I don't know why, man. That's what I hear. But I'm happy about that, as you can see.
This interview is going to be very short because he's not going to be able to be focused.
That's all.
Okay, so talk about being a non-custodial parent and kind of the effect, like the pluses and the minuses, and then the effects overall.
When I became a non-custodial parent,
I'm using those phrases, those terms, but you do not have to talk like that. This is just my.
No, I'm just saying. When I became a non-custodial parent,
Jesus Christ.
When I became a non-custodial parent, when I became a baby daddy, it was probably the hardest thing. Because I was actually going through a lot of transition at the time. I had just moved to Atlanta, trying to be on my own.
Let me pause you right there, because I always laugh when I hear people talk. He was born and raised in Athens, something like he moved to the big city. Pitch don't burn on the kitchen. The beans don't burn on the grill. No, that's what you be looking at like, oh wow, I done moved to the big city. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so I was actually going through a lot of transition. I was how old was I? 22?
I don't know. I
22.
When you became a parent, you know what I was like. You know what I was literally doing 18 years ago. I got to do the math. 18. Let's see, 20 years from 20 years from my age now, I was 13. That means when you had your first child, 13, I was 11.
Let's edit this out.
Go ahead, man.
Let's edit this.
No.
We can't move on. The people don't need to hear this.
The people need to hear it. This will not be edited. Continue.
But anyway, so I was still young, and it was actually the hardest thing I ever experienced in my life. You know, I'm actually just here recently, probably when my son turned 15, I actually was able to find joy in being a baby daddy, a non-custodial parent. I was, that's the only time I could find it. It was just the hardest thing. I mean, it was just tough, man. I mean, you know, not being able to see my child when I wanted to see my child, you know, dealing with the troubles that come with having
not a good relationship with the mother of your child.
Right, yeah. Exactly. You know, and you know, on top of that, I had to pay a bunch of money. It was like I was driving a car. I had to pay for a car that I never could drive. Man. That's how I felt sometimes.
Now I want to keep in mind that we understand that child support is a necessary evil, a kind of thing. It's so I don't think he's talking from a perspective as that he didn't want to provide for his child. I think he's talking, or tell me what you're talking about.
No, I think child support is a necessary evil. I think child support should be taken out on a father or a parent who's not present in the child. And what I mean by present, not just not living in the child, it's not doing anything for the child, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do agree with child support. Now, I don't agree with the court system, how they set child support up. But I do believe that child support is very necessary. I'm an advocate of child support. But if a mother or father needs help raising a child, because it's not easy. But what I was saying with the hardships of paying child support, it was at a time where, if you knew the whole story of how I got child support, they sent me a letter in the mail, right? Had to be in court on Tuesday, had to be in court on Friday. There was no way I could make it. I just didn't have time. Like, it was like the whole system set me. They didn't give me adequate notice to be in court.
At the time,
I was in South Carolina at the time.
Okay.
I wasn't even at home. So they went on without court. Well, I didn't even know. I never got notice.
Without giving you proper notice.
So then they just hit me with the highest amount, and I wasn't even making no money at the time. You know, so I would get paid. I might get paid $800, and I'm getting $750 taken off my check, so that leaves me with $50. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. I began to lose. I lost houses, got evicted, cars. You know, it was a struggle at the time. You know, and then on top of that, I was able to even deal with the struggle. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Now I want to see my child, and then I get hit with the courts. Like, no, we can take money from you, but you still don't. You're still not legally the child's. You know, you're not seen as a child's father unless you go get the child legitimized. So now I'm back in the courts paying thousands of dollars just to have my child legitimized. I was dying to be in my child's life, but I couldn't. This went on for years. You know what I mean? So that was the struggle. It wasn't even about the money. The money was just a part of it. It was knowing that you had a kid out there that you couldn't see and not knowing what was going on with for so long.
The Georgia system, do you think, is set up that to benefit not even non-custodial parents? Do you think it's set up to benefit fathers who want to be active in their children's lives?
No, I honestly don't. No, I think they provide a way for you to do it, but you still have to go through so much mud, so many hardships for it to be done. It's more of a money-making thing, because it's like anything else. Like, if you need, I would say, like, say if you need milk and milk begins to run out, they put $10 on the milk. If you really want the milk, you're gonna pay $10. So they understand that they can put a price tag on it if you really want to see your child. It's only two type of parents, non-custodial parents: the ones that are gonna fight to see the child, and the ones that's not.
That's good perspective. Okay, how do you think that it influenced your relationship with your son now, and then how is your relationship with your son beyond that?
Well, you know, I will tell you, I think me and you began to know each other around this time. Remember when I was going to court? Now, when I finally, probably 4 years later, got to see, now, I will tell you this before I go into that. I found ways to be in my son's life about the mother knowing. So I went to the school when he was in elementary school, became friends with the principal. So I would eat lunch with him twice a week, just so he would know he has a father. I would still find ways to be present in his life, even though I couldn't. She wouldn't let me see him on the weekends. I would still go have lunch with him twice a week, go throw parties at his school twice a week. So he'd know that you have a father while I was still, working on the point of working on the part of being I would say joint custody, having joint custody. So around that time, that's when me and you began to get to know each other. I don't know why that made me laugh.
Because the line is completely blurred, but this is not a conversation for this particular phase of the podcast. But I guess I got to know you
as I was going through, trying to become
towards the end, closer to the end.
To the end, right? Okay. Yeah, actually, it was right at the end. It was close to the end, right? And
that was a process that you had been doing. You had been going through for what?
For probably about two years. Okay. 2 years at this point, and probably even 3 years, man. From the time I got a lawyer, court got set, court got pushed back, court got set. The games.
Yeah.
I couldn't miss not one time. I was told if I missed any court date, I would pretty much lose everything. You see what I'm saying?
So talk to me about kind of your relationship now. You talked about how much effort you made to make sure that even though, like with the court system, it was prohibiting you from having too much of an influence in your child's life the way you wanted to. But talk about, how that affected your relationship then, and what your relationship now is now, and what you've done to kind of secure your relationship.
But once I was able to get the parenting plan, I began to see my son more often, more frequently. I could tell that our relationship had been strained for whatever reason. You know what I mean? I could tell it wasn't the same before all this stuff started happening, right?
Right. So
I decided at that point to kind of move kind of slowly into it. I didn't want to jump in like, hey, I'm back, because I didn't know what he had been told or what he had experienced. So I would parent him, kind of not hard but kind of gently, just so I can get a feel for what his attitude was at the time. So, but as time went on and I was able to be in his life more, he got used to it. He had to get used to the transition. I wasn't the only person going through this transition.
Who is this? Tammy.
That's mine.
Tammy. Goodbye. We have she's whispering. We have another child who's here who doesn't understand it when the lights are on. Oh, this is my underarm. Okay. All right.
I didn't know.
I know. Goodbye. Love you. Think you're so special. Such a wonderful child. Okay. Now, what were you saying?
So as I had to realize that he wasn't on one. I wasn't on one transition. Everybody was that was involved in this.
Yeah.
Was coming to was having to adjust.
Yeah.
Some didn't want to adjust. Some others did adjust, but it still had to be an adjustment, right? So I began, get to know him again. I realized I had to get to know my son all over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just, time had passed. He had grew from the last time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but as time went on, he began to adjust. He began to learn who I was. I'm in a whole different career field. I'm a police officer. He, it's a whole different type structure that he's seen at home from when he comes to my house. So
yeah.
once he began to understand that, our relationship started picking up and it became stronger. You know what I mean? So even at this point now, we have such a relationship where he pretty much asks me anything. It's nothing. He don't feel like he can't ask me. We got a good relationship, and it's still growing. It's still getting better.
Okay.
As a father and son.
Okay, so you have a male child, you have a female child.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you talk to me about becoming a parent for a female child and becoming a parent for a child that you knew that would be in your household, and if there's any difference?
Well, I think the way you parent regardless, but I did have to parent differently. I'm gonna tell you, even with me and my son, I thought we were so close until Tabitha came into my life. It's like the bond I have with Tabitha is crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been trying to
Tabitha,
keep him from talking about our the names of children with the names of our children, but here he goes.
Okay, let's edit that.
No, I'm not gonna edit that out. It's gonna stay. Now, I mean because that one I have a little control over. Okay. Right? So that's different.
Well, my daughter.
Yes.
My beautiful baby girl. The relationship, you know, I'm straight up a dad. What they call it? What they were saying? A girl dad. I'm a girl dad. I love it, man. It's, because you know what? Even she pushed me to be better. You know what I mean?
Do you think that there was a little bit of a relief in having to have a daughter in this kind of situation though? Like not being a non-custodial parent, for instance. Do you think there's a difference in how I don't know, you proceeded?
Well, I will tell you this, you know, just to be honest. When me and you got married, then we got pregnant, right? It was a time when I sat back and thought, like, man, you know, I'm married now. I knew the court system. I knew how everything worked with child support, everything at this point. So, like, say if me and you didn't work out, it was a relief knowing that I would never have to go through it again as far as trying to fight for my kid, because I had she's not out of wedlock anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a relief. However, having somebody that had the same interests in our kid, you know, being with you, that made it a lot easier. You know, it was a lot more relief because I knew that you had the best interest as far as I did. I knew what your interest was in our child. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it made it a lot easier being married, having a child in this type of setting than prior to the previous.
You talking about emotionally though? Like it made it a lot easier, meaning for you emotionally, or just in general?
But emotionally and in general, okay. Both aspects actually.
So what's the difference to you in raising a young man and a young woman?
You know, I'm be honest with you. I don't think there's any difference as far as like society, how we have to raise our kids as Black kids. I never saw it different. Actually, I believe in raising, but you probably don't agree with it, my daughter harder, because I understand that she, you know, it's like a minority twice, Black and a woman, and a Black woman, 3 times actually. But it is certain fears of having a son, a black son with dreads that I struggle with, or even fear at times. Even now, in his years of being, you know, 18 years old, you know, as far as like, you know, being pulled over by the police and, you know, just having to deal with being a Black kid in America, man. It is certain things. Now, with Tabitha, you know, I try to show her, I want her to understand that she always has to be strong, you know what I mean, as a woman, as a Black woman. You know, I feel like she has to build that strength up in her to be able to, I know some don't like it, but in my point, it is what it is, you know. Black women have to deal with a lot in the society. You know, you have to compete with a lot. Even compete with Black men that don't show you respect. So I try to, you know, get her to be tough now, knowing that the stuff that she's going to have to face as a Black female in America.
Do you think that your perspective on women changed having a daughter?
I believe that my perspective began to change prior to having a daughter.
Explain.
You know what I mean? Like, my perspective began to change.
Why are you laughing? I'm serious.
I thought about stuff. But yeah, it did.
No, what did you think about?
It did.
Nah, tell the people. What did you think about?
It did. It changed a little bit.
What did you think about?
Now, I'm going to tell you, I never really disrespected women. I mean, people might have called it that disrespect because of how I dealt with people in general. You understand what I'm saying? Let's clear it up, because I don't like to be labeled as that, like, oh, I never really
that guy.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, you know, and some can because of how I dealt with people. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But you know, I never did like the fact that women were seen less than. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Now, however, I never liked it, but I never dealt with it because it wasn't my reality. It's a difference. You understand what I'm saying?
So you observed it, you thought it was a problem, but you never actively took steps to remedy it because
it wasn't my issue.
Right.
Even though I saw it, if the conversation came up, I would give my perspective, but that would be it. You know what I mean?
Well, I get it. And you didn't have sisters growing up.
I didn't have sisters.
You know what I'm saying? So
very few female cousins. you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
now I saw it. I never agreed with it, but I wouldn't deal with it either. Just okay, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you think changed when having a
Well,
daughter?
having a daughter now, what I knew was a problem. Now I would speak to it. I would speak to the problem. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
it became your problem.
because it became my problem now. That's just the truth. You know what I mean? Like if I'm at work and somebody say women, I remember I had a conversation. I'm gonna bring up Eric Hernandez. What's his name? Hernandez, Florida.
Aaron. Oh,
Aaron
yeah.
Hernandez.
Okay.
Aaron Hernandez. And one of my coworkers stated, man, his wife, man, she's a gold digger, yada 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 yada. So I'm looking at him like, because now she's dating a boxer apparently. So I'm like, why is she a gold digger? Can it actually be that the boxer came after her? Why does she have to be labeled? You understand what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
You know, the boxer could have came after her. You know, and then secondly, Aaron, they was together since high school. So why is she a gold digger? So those are the type of things that I would speak up for at this point, you know.
But
like,
that you never did before.
You know, other than I still wouldn't agree with it, but I'd be like, oh, next subject. I wouldn't really care. I wouldn't care if another person would change the way they thought or not. But now, every opportunity I would like for people to change the way they think and see things holistically when dealing with women at this point.
That makes sense. What do you think is kind of the biggest untruth about Black fathers?
That Black fathers don't want to be in their kids' life. I believe that's a big untruth. I believe even the Black fathers that aren't in their kids' life, they still desire to be in their kids' life. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that most people just don't know how to fight. I knew how to fight, and I wasn't gonna give up the fight, but it was at times where I was like, this ain't even worth it because it's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it becomes it's straining. You know what I mean? It's taxing. It's tedious. It's just a lot of heartache. And sometimes when you're trying to fight the court and fight with the child's mother to see your kid, you know what I mean? If you really want to do it. So I think one of the biggest myths personally for me is that the father doesn't want to be in the kid's life. I think that's not true at all.
Do you think that Black fathers are celebrated enough? Fathers in general, and then Black fathers.
I don't think fathers are celebrated enough. No, I don't. And I definitely don't believe that Black fathers are celebrated enough. I believe that we just look at it as like most of the time, like take Father's Day for example, right? When the actors just think of that, Mother's Day, it's a big thing, man. We better come correct, boy. We better get it right. For Father's Day, hey, let's get him a tie. You look at my closet, how many ties I done got, man.
No, wait.
Not from y'all.
I'm about to say,
I'm just saying.
I'm about to say, make sure it's clear, make it plain.
But what I'm saying is that's not even my truth. I never received ties anyway. But I'm just saying, like, saying, I just use that, as an example. I look at my closet, like my dad got 100 million ties. We always bought him a tie. Gave him some socks and like, hey, peace. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
But never did the same. Never did that for you.
When Mama came, it was time to get flowers. We gonna cook. We gonna celebrate. You know what I mean? So, and then as far as Black fathers, no, definitely not Black fathers as a whole, man. We're not celebrated, man. We often, I think we're more hated than celebrated, even by our own kind at some time, man.
Why you say that?
Because it's so easy for, I believe the whole psychology of the relationship between the Black woman and the Black man, dates back years before we even talking about now. You understand what I'm saying? I believe the whole way that we think and see each other has to change. As I was talking to somebody now, I was talking to this guy, and I was like, I recognize that our women in some aspects are a lot stronger than our men in today's society. I recognize it. And I believe it holds true in a lot of senses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think what we need to do as Black people in general is get away from, this is just my opinion, get away from, I'm not holding no man down. I'm not doing that. If the ties have changed, now you're in a position, mm-hmm. we need to help each other out. Build a man back up so he can take that role again and be that strength in the family. Because, as men, we deal with so many pressure that as men, we've been learned not to talk about. And it's just the thing that we want to talk about. So I understand that Black women have to deal with so much, but what I'm saying, even with us, we shouldn't hold our women down. We should build each other up, man. We shouldn't see each other and be like, oh, he's not doing it or she's not doing it, and then just keep them right there. Let's build each other up so we can become that powerful figure again in the Black family.
With the understanding that there have been plenty of times where Black women were doing what they could to support financially, emotionally, physically Black men, and when they got up to the top, they would degrade us.
I'm not saying that's not
no,
a
right,
thing,
right.
but even dealing with that, I believe what the Black man was dealing with to disgrade him was everything else that came about. What gets played on your psyche, can oftentimes spill over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I said before, we all need to be taught again how to love and how to love each other as Black people again, so the Black family can become strong again.
Yeah. Yeah,
I believe when a man begins to disgrade them, they're not disgrading the women. They're disgrading the insecurity of seeing their women succeed now because they've been taught and been forced for so long to be that figure, to be the breadwinner. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To be the ox and bull that take care of everything. Now the woman is succeeding. Nobody never taught them how to deal with that pressure, man. So now it spills out in another form of not respecting the women. So what oftentimes men do, they go out and do something else so they can become a man again. If it's cheating with finding other women, they just got to feel that void of I'm the man again. And however some men find it, that's how they find it.
That's a different perspective. That's a definite different perspective. So what do you think? And for anybody who's watching this, one of the reasons why I am not like going gung-ho, because I've had plenty of conversations with some of the men and the brothers in my life about just kind of hardcore topics. But what I want to do is create a conversation and a safe space for Black men to honestly give their feedback with a little bit of pushback, because it wouldn't be me and I wouldn't be honest if I wouldn't push back a little bit, but also with the understanding that this is a safe space for them to kind of discuss male and female, their perspectives on relational things and issues, and the fact that Black fathers matter. I just don't want nobody to feel like I don't be asking the hard questions, because I'm not this time, but because this is solely supposed to be an homage to Black men and Black fathers. So with that being said, what do you think that we could do as a whole, people, women, children, as a whole, to help you all feel more celebrated?
I mean, I believe, that's really a tough question. And I'll be honest with you. A simple question like that is real tough. Because I don't know, I really don't know how to answer that. I can probably answer it the way that I feel celebrated by y'all often. You see what I'm saying? So I think that question would have to come from somebody who doesn't feel celebrated. You know what I mean? Now, if you would have asked me that question before y'all came into my life, I would say just for somebody to recognize that, I'm doing the best I can. I am a Black father that want to be in my kids' life. I don't care about, tangible items. You know what I mean? I really don't care about that. Just to know that, I am a good father. Look at this father. Just to celebrate us so we can begin to change the narrative of how the world sees the Black father. Just to speak up, just to speak about, the good things that the Black man is doing in the household, as far as being a good dad, a good role model, a good leader, a good provider. Nothing tangible would ever speak louder than being able to change the narrative that has been put on us.
So what do you think, and this is my final question, what do you think, and I feel like you answered it, but just reiterate it. What do you think you want people to recognize more about fatherhood from the perspective of a Black man? Just give us a summary.
One of the things I would like for people to know is that, it's like, I remember when Tapter was born, right? I remember you said something like, I didn't see him excited. I didn't see him excited because I was also thinking about, right then I began thinking about a future, the world that we have just birthed our kids to. So, and then I have a female daughter at this point, you know what I mean, that she has come to this world. So it wasn't that I wasn't excited. It was just my perspective was like, I have to take care of his life by any means necessary. It's time for me to become a protector of this daughter. So from the perspective of a Black man, I believe when we have kids, we begin to automatically think about all the hardships that they're gonna face growing up in this world. Every obstacle that's gonna come against them to knock them down. And that we oftentimes live in fear as parents of not knowing if we're going to do the same thing. I mean, do the right thing to raise them right in a society that really doesn't care anything about. So our perspective is for them to. I would think my perspective is for my kids for me to give them every tool, every seed I can to succeed, not only financially but mentally too in the world, because they will get beat up more mentally than they ever will anything else in this world. So my perspective is that I think Black fathers love hard. We love so hard to the point that love can oftentimes make the Black father run away from their family because they can't provide the love that they want to that they feel inside. It doesn't translate on the outside. So we love our kids hard, and we love our family hard. And with all that hard love that we have, we see the trials and tribulations that they're going to that they're going to endure in this world that we live in here. And I believe at times we're scared, but we've been taught not to share the fear that we have, and at times we don't know how to deal with it other than to run at times. So I think that at some point, instead of taking it, we should look at, like, why is the Black father not present? And maybe somebody talk to the Black father, even teach the Black father how to be present. You'll see more Black fathers being present in their kids' life, in their family life, and not leaving them, and being a strong figure that the kids need, and be present in their kids' life. And we just understand what it is that the Black father goes through every day in their mind, the things that they battle with in their mind, in their head, having kids, being brought up here in this world, in the society that's being laid out for them.
It was an excellent response, but also a heavy one. So I'm not going to end it like that. He brought up the fact that I said that, stop shaking me, that when I was giving birth to our child, he didn't seem excited. Let me go ahead and set the tone for you all. Imagine, one, I had been sick the entire 40 weeks plus a day that I had been pregnant with this child, right? She didn't want to come out, first of all. And when I'm pushing, I'm throwing up. So push, like, you see what I'm saying? I look up at him and he's just kind of like deer in headlights, mean police face. And I'm just kind of like, sir, this is not helping me. Okay? So I don't want you to feel like I was out here trying to pressure him, yada, yada. No. I was in the state of, first of all, delivering a child, and we've already discussed that I never wanted to have a kid. Okay?
I wish I could show the video that I took prior to you having the kid.
No, we don't need to see the video. I wasn't being mean to you. You was irritating me.
I was like, oh, you so excited. Get out my face. No.
I wasn't excited. I wasn't excited at that moment because I had to walk. Yeah, very much so.
You did this to me.
You did do this to me.
That's what you said.
It was a drunk night. I wasn't willingly giving up my body. Do you know how much weight I have gained since the 6 years prior to having this child?
Oh, it looks so good.
Okay. All right, well, I think we have talked enough, so I think this is it. So I hope you guys have another perspective. Tune in next week because we have one more perspective to share, and it's coming from my daddy. Let's see what the pastor has to say. Bye.